Alright, hopefully I can get all the sound to work and everything. But here's your study guide walkthrough for the test that we're going to start on Tuesday. Tuesday's a short period, so we probably won't have time to do both. Do the whole test, so we're going to use Tuesday and Thursday during Tier 2 time to work on the algebra test, because Wednesday you won't have algebra because you'll be on a field trip. Thursday you won't have or Friday you won't have algebra because it's Ranger Academy. So let's see if we can get through this while I'm at lunch before you all come back. So number one, simplify. It's two polynomials, and we are adding them. So remember we did that little graphic organizer thing where we lined them up vertically. So we had 7v to the third. We're putting it in standard form, minus 8v squared plus 4. And I want to add the other one to it, and I have to line it up with the same like terms. So 4v cubed and positive 6v squared and a minus 5. Once I have them lined up, I can add or subtract straight down. So 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2v squared. And 7 plus 4 is 11v cubed. So that's all it wants you to do, is add straight down with like terms. So 11v cubed minus 2v squared minus 1. All right, number 2 wants us to simplify a similar one, but now we're subtracting. So line up like terms. The biggest one we've got is to the 4th power. There's no to the 3rd power, so I'm going to leave that blank. But then there is to the 2nd. There is no plain v in either of them. And then there's a number, 4. Minus everything in the second one. Oops. Line it up. The v squared. It's a positive v squared. The negative v 7v cubed and the plus 3. But remember, when you subtract, it takes the sign of everything and changes it. So that first one becomes positive, that next one becomes negative, and this one becomes negative. So then I can go straight down. 4 minus 3 is 1. 5v squared minus v squared is 4v squared. Oh, I messed up. There we go. I can fix it. The 7v cubed goes here because there's nothing with a like term. So that can just come straight down because there's nothing. And so can the negative. This can just come straight down. And notice that it's a positive because we were subtracting. So this negative changed to a positive right here because I was subtracting. So final answer, negative 2v4 plus 7v3 plus 4v squared plus 1. All right, number 3, the product. We're just going to... All right, sorry, phone call and it interrupted. So we're going to FOIL. 2b times 3b is 6b squared, because b times b is b squared. Then 2b times 2 is 4b. Multiply the negative 8 by both pieces. Negative 8 times 3b is negative 24b. And negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Combine these like terms, and then my final answer is 6b squared minus 20b minus 16. All right, the next one, I'm going to find the product. Remember, when it's squared, we just write it twice. And then FOIL it out. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 7x is 56x. Is that right? Because 8 times 6 is 48. Yeah, that's right. Okay, then 7x times 8 is, again, 56x. Then 7x times 7x is 49x squared. Then I want it in standard form and need to combine like terms. So the 49x squared first. Then the 56 plus 56 should be 112x, and then 64. All right, number 5, the greatest common factor. So what's the biggest thing we can pull out? They all have a 3 in common. And then they all have at least one b, but the most I could take out would be 3, because I could take 3 out from here, 3 out from here. So 3b to the third would be the greatest common factor. It doesn't ask you to actually factor it, just pull out the greatest common factor. But number 6 does want us to factor, so X method. And when there's a first front number out front that's not 1, remember we have to multiply. Oops, I messed up. Wonder if you caught it. Probably not, but maybe. First you got to see, is there anything I can factor out of all 3 numbers? And I can, because they're all even. So I could pull out a 2. Then I have k squared plus k, because I factored out the 2. Then I can divide, no, not 60, 90. Then I can divide that by 2. Now try my X method. 90 in the bottom, 1 in the top. Is there anything I can combine? One has to be, they both have, oh, it's a negative 90. I just keep messing up all over the place. Negative 90. So we could do 10 and negative 9 would get us positive 1 when we add and negative 90 when we subtract. So remember 2 out front. And then k, not x, k plus 10 and k minus 9. I don't have to do any of that dividing stuff because right here there's not a number. Second one, factor. We got negative 63 in the bottom, negative 2 in the top. We could do 9 and 7, negative 9, positive 7. N minus 9 and n plus 7. You notice I'm boxing in the final answers, but you better have some work, not just the answers. All right, number 8, I'm factoring it out. This is the difference of 2 squares. But I can still, you just take the square root of the first one. The square root of 9v squared is 3v, because 3 times 3 is 9, and v times v is v squared. And then the square root of 1 is 1. So you do that plus 1 and that minus 1. And if you needed to go check it, you could FOIL it out. These would cancel, and I'd end up with my same answer. So the final answer, the difference of 2 squares, you take the square root of each, do one with a plus and one with a minus. All right. Number 9, factoring. So first you got to see, is there anything that can come out of all the terms? 35. No, I don't think so. So this one we have something higher than squared, so we have to factor by grouping. Okay, so the greatest common factor of 35v cubed and 42v squared. We could pull out a 7 from both and a v squared from both. 7 times 5 is 35 and 1 v left. 7 times 6 is 42, and then v squared has already been pulled out. Okay, and then we could pull out a negative 5 from those two. Negative 5 times 5v is negative 25v. And then negative 5 times positive 6 is 30. So it makes most sense if you try to pull out a negative so that everything inside the parentheses will be positive. So then I pull out the factor that's the same in both. So 5v plus 6. And then whatever's left, I put together in the other parentheses. 7v squared minus 5. So this would be your final answer. Number 10, a rectangle has an area represented by that. What are the possible dimensions of the triangle? So we just are factoring it, but in context. X method, multiply the front and the last. 30 in the bottom, 11 in the top. 5 times 6 is 30. But then I have to take them both and divide them by the front number. This doesn't simplify, but this simplifies to 1 over 1. Remember, bottom number's in front of the x, top number's the other number. So I'd have x, because that's 1x, plus 1, and then 5x plus 6. So those are the possible dimensions of the triangle. Number 11, write an expression that represents the perimeter of the triangle. That's just all the side lengths added together. So I'm going to take all three and line them up by type. So here's my x squareds. I'm going to leave a spot for x's because there are no x's here. And this one is the one I'm doing first. Then a plus 7. This one, line up my x squareds. There is a minus x and no numbers. Then the last one, I got a 4x and then a 2. So then I can add straight down. 7 plus 2 is 9. Negative 1 plus 4 is 3. And then x squared plus x squared is 2x squared. So this would be the perimeter, just adding all sides together. Sort of an application problem. Number 12, you're factoring. So see the greatest thing you can pull out of both of them? I could pull out 4 x's total. So x to the 4th. And then 48 and 36, 12 will go into both of those. 12 times 4 is 48. And then there would be 5 x's left. And then 12 times 3 is 36, and there are no x's left. That's all it needs us to do. Number 13, this expression is equivalent to, it just wants you to FOIL out and then combine like terms. So 2x minus 8, then negative 4 times negative 2 is negative 8x, and negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. Combine like terms. 2 minus 8 is negative 6x, then negative 8 minus 28 is negative 36. That's all it needs you to do. 14. We're going to factor. Make sure there's nothing you can pull out from all three, and this time there is. I can pull out a 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Still have x squared. 5 times 3 is 15. And 5 times 27, oh, but it's negative, is 135. So now I have to do the x method. Multiply the front and the last number. Negative 27 times 2, negative 54. 3 in the top. How about, I think 6 and 9. Yep, 6 and 9. With the negative 6 so that we get positive 3 out of it. Okay, then we got to take both numbers, divide them by the front number. This will simplify to negative 3 over 2, and this one can't simplify. Bottom number goes in front of the x. Top number gets added or subtracted. Bottom number in front of the x. Top number added or subtracted. And there's a 5 out front that we factored, so pull that 5 out front. All right, last one. Just wants us to FOIL the whole thing out. So 4x squared times 5x to the 4th would be 20x to the 6th. Remember, because you add exponents. 2x squared times 4x squared would be 8x4. 4x squared times x would be 4x cubed. And 4x squared times negative 12 would be negative 48x squared. All right. So just as I've done on a couple other of these videos, if you do watch it all the way to the end and listen to it, if you'll write the word about vanilla Coke, because that's what's sitting in front of me right now. If you'll write the word vanilla Coke at the top of your test on Tuesday, or at the top of your study guide, I'll give you some extra bonus points on this test. I think you'll do well on this test. It's not too terrible. And don't share the code with somebody else, because if I find out, then I'm going to dock you both quite a few points, because if you put in the work, there's no reason for you to give somebody else your credit. So if you write the word, what did I say? Vanilla Coke at the top of your test or your study guide, I'll give you some bonus points. So good luck.